Hello, everyone. Hello, ReactNext. What's up? Yay. So, before we start, I have two questions for you. The first is, who is hungry? Who is hungry? Yeah. Lunch is around the corner. And the second one is, what, in your opinion, the most joyful thing in React? And I'm pretty sure that everyone will agree with me that the most joyful thing in React is the avoiding of unnecessary rendering. We love that, yeah? We love to go over all the state, all these small effects, all the data flow, and find this nasty thing that causes a lot of unnecessary renders. Trust me, who doesn't love a great mystery before the coffee gets cold? Yeah, we love that. We love that. We are React developers. We love that. And of course, we have a lot of tools to do that. We have memorization. We have, in the future, React compiler. And we have, of course, React forget and React unforget. And I'm not going to talk about these tools right now. I'm going to talk about something new, something that everyone here was waiting for, and it's just plain React. Okay? I'm going to talk about how React doing some small things under the hood to save our re-rendering. So before the ice breaks us, let's break the ice. Nice to meet you all. I'm Tal Moskovich. Nice to be here. I'm a front-end developer. I love to commit code and push personal boundaries. I am the front-end developer at Enpitech. At Enpitech, we are the good guys of the web. We have a knack to build front-end apps to startups, with companies. I'm also a podcaster, lecturer in לא טכני ולא במקרה. It's our community. Yeah, there. It's my partner. In לא טכני ולא במקרה, we are a community for developers to achieve more skills that are not the coding itself. So you can join to us, and nice to be here. So I would like to start with a quick example. Maybe quick, I don't know. And in this example, I have, of course, app, I have a state, and I try to demonstrate a very big app that a provider wraps it all, okay? And two components that uses this provider, one that uses this state and one that doesn't. The one that uses its state, it will be the form, and the other one that doesn't will be the heavy component. The heavy component will change the color and a random number on each render, and the form is just a basic form that uses this provider. Okay? So let's see the demo. Yeah, that's the demo. And I started to type. Of course, these components are not connected to each other. I don't want that if I change the state of one component, it will be rendered another. So I try to type, my shirt is better than yours. Okay? And it's really hard to type because you don't see anything. The I/O is just blocked. Okay? And believe me that this heavy component is rendered on every single on-page event. You can see the colors, you can see the random numbers, and my shirt is more colorful than that. Okay? So how on earth it happens? Yeah, my clicker is not. Just a moment. Yeah. So what do we have here? We have, of course, the app, and we have, of course, the context provider, and we have, of course, the form and the heavy component. And when I type in the form, the whole app is rendered again. There is no something new here, okay? Not just the heavy component, the whole app, okay? But if we have a better solution, for that, because I don't want that the heavy component will be rendered again and again. And if I take this state and the context provider and wrap it up in a new component that's called context wrapper, and this context wrapper will take the format, the heavy component, as children, and just initiating the state and the provider. Did I change something? Because it's quite similar. Don't you think? It's quite similar. Who actually thinks it changed something? Raise your hand. Who actually thinks it doesn't change something? Raise your hand. It's the same people. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so of course it changed something because that's the whole story. Okay, so let's see the demo. And it's the previous demo. Just a moment. And actually we solved it. We solved it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, but how? How, for God's sake, we solved it? Because I didn't change anything. What did I change it? It's about the children. And what's about children? The children are actually created by the app and not the context wrapper. Context wrapper children are its siblings. I don't know who is the father here, but that's how React actually works. It takes children, but it's not its children. It's its siblings. And let's dive in. Okay? How isn't heavy component re-rendered? We have, of course, a component, we have a child, and later in the code we have another call to this component. And this JSX, as you know, is transferred to be react.createElement that takes the pointer to the functional component and the props. Okay? What actually react.createElement does? What it does, it creates a spatial object that's called fiber node. Okay? That it's a simplified version of the real fiber nodes. And the fiber node has a lot of attributes that describe the rendering of this component. And I think that the most important attributes will be the type, that it's a pointer to the functional component. The child here, that it's not children, it's just what this component is rendered. Okay? And of course the props. Okay? And that's actually the so-called VDOM of React, because as you know, React doesn't have a real VDOM, but this connection in the child attribute, it's the connection between component with the father and with the child. Okay? And I come back here to this component, and I have a small bug here, you see. Okay. Yeah. So this component, okay, that have a props, actually these props, it's a reference to the real props object in the fiber node. And we actually forgotten that this props is an object because we love to destructure the attributes of the props. And when this component is re-rendered, this props object is created from scratch. Because as we saw the call to react.createElement, this props object is created again and again on each render. And of course, a call to this child element, okay, this child element will be created when the parent is re-rendered. But what about children? Children is a spatial thing here. Because when React takes children, children is a rendered fiber node. It's a rendered fiber node. And when there is no reason for children to be re-rendered, React actually saves its referential identity from the last render, which means it's memoized. And we saw this example in the form In the form, we had actually a state change that triggered a render. But on the heavy component, there is no change in the props or in the state. So React memoized it. And that's why heavy component is not rendered again. But I say that children is a rendered fiber node. Rendered from who? Yeah, right. The form and the heavy component are rendered by the app and not the context wrapper. Okay? That's why heavy component is not being rendered again. And I have a question. Will it also work? Let's take the form and the heavy component not as children, but as props. Okay? Form and heavy component will be a rendered props. And of course, there is a change in the context wrapper that will take form and heavy component. And it's just a new renaming, because in that phase, form and heavy component are just like children. And that's why it also solves the problem. Okay? There is no other re-rendering of heavy components. For the same reason, children is not automatically re-renders. When there is no reason for children to re-renders, React doesn't re-render this children element. And I would like to conclude and maybe initiate a new thinking. Instead of props drilling, let's think about component drilling. Because as we learned, if we give React the same element that we gave it to the last render, it won't bother to re-render that element. And what we could do is to lift up an expensive component to a parent, which will be less rendered. Okay? As we saw with the heavy component, we actually lift the heavy component up because all the small things was changed to the down component. So that's how we actually lift the heavy component up. And what we could do after that is to then pass this heavy component down as a prop, as we saw. Okay? So that's my rant. Thank you for being here. I'm Tal Moskovich. I'm Tal Moskovich, and you have a repo to the code, to the demo, and a way to contact me. Thank you very much.